so good. Beethoven Moonlight Sonata is always one of the ones, man. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Raw Reacts. I got a great episode for y'all today, but I need y'all to like, comment, subscribe. The goal is 10K by the end of the year. I know it's a crazy goal, but it's my goal, and I know y'all got my back, man. I'm going to go ahead and let this video rock out. I'm going to get my commentary at the end. Let's go, baby.
What do you think that they did as far as the defense examining Cassie?
Yeah, so what I think is, I'll step out here to hopefully get a little bit of better sound for you guys. So here's the thing. So both sides, let me kind of paint the picture here so people understand like how significant this is. When I was the agent and I was on the job, right? You would have maybe 1 to 2 AUSAs on a criminal case. If you had a big RICO or a big OCDF case, which stands for Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, you might get 3 AUSAs. But this case has 6 for one defendant, okay? So I've never seen that before. And then Diddy obviously is kind of matching that. He got like 7 or 8 lawyers. Brian Steele's on his team, who was the lawyer that successfully got Young Thug kind of out of jail time, right? Got him a really good plea deal. He did a great job cross-examining one of the witnesses in the trial. But to answer your question as far as like the whole situation between the things, so the defense did a really good job cross-examining. Now, the prosecution, right, because Cassie is their star witness, so the prosecution's job, even though they'll never admit this, is to protect their main witness. So when the defense was asking really probing questions or getting into an angle where it might make her look bad, they immediately objected. And the other thing also that Cassie has to her advantage is that she's a sex crime victim. As a sex crime victim, there's certain rules that come into play that kind of protect her ability to stay a victim, and certain things aren't able to be used against her. Like one of the things that they argued in the court was that they didn't want the defense to bring up other men that she was involved with and sex acts with those men. And that's just one of the examples. I think it's called Rule 412, if I'm not mistaken, in the
I wonder why that is.
But and there's a bunch of other things as well that they're objecting on, but that's the one that kind of stands out because this is a sex trafficking case, which affords her certain benefits as a witness that she, can kind of be protected from when it comes to cross-examination. So that was one thing that they were using quite a bit. But what happened, what I thought was really interesting today, and so just so I can kind of paint it for your audience, so they're cross-examining Cassie, right? She's on the stand. And the defense, in preparation of cross-examining her, labels all the exhibits that they want to put. Mind you, these exhibits are the same exhibits. Can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I thought I cut out there. So these exhibits are the same exhibits. These exhibits are the same exhibits that the prosecution actually put into place against Diddy. And what the defense was able to do, and as in many occasions they did, they took the prosecution's evidence and they Uno reversed it on Cassie. So in this case, what ended up happening was, contrary to popular belief, all the freak-off footage and evidence actually came from Cassie. It did not come from Diddy, as people think. It actually came from Cassie. She had it on iPads and laptops from she's been holding on to it for a decade. And then the HSI extracted all the stuff, and then they put it into evidence. And there was a lot of argument about that as well. But for the purpose of this story, I had to tell you guys that. So this evidence that they had, they started labeling exhibits that the government had used on direct that they wanted to bring in. And the government was able to successfully, right, as they try to introduce each piece of evidence, they were able to object, and they got a majority of these exhibits that they were planning to use. Pretty much they couldn't use it. The defense couldn't use it. So it fucked them up, because what ended up happening is when you have evidence, right, and you got it in a chain like that, I already know the defense attorney had a line of questioning that they wanted to do on the witness. And once they started objecting to the exhibits, what ended up happening was they weren't able to do the line of questioning that they wanted, so they had to move on to the next subject. And this is extremely rattling as an attorney, where you're trying to kind of paint a picture for the jury, because you have to paint the picture not by you saying it, but by you asking certain questions to the defendant that kind of give you affirmative answers. That you can't do speculation or relevance, and it's got to be relevant. So you have to be very precise in how you ask questions, and the evidence helps you do that. So the prosecution did a really good job of basically defending their witness against the defense in that case. But then the defense came back and hit them hard, because what the defense did was those text messages that Cassie was trying to use. Sorry, guys. It's New York City, man.
No, you're fine. We hear you great.
Okay. So the defense, what they did was they dropped a couple of bombshells. The first one that they dropped was, as you guys know, Cassie made the allegation that she had been, we're on YouTube, raped by Diddy, right, in August of 2018. And what the defense said was, well, you told us in court that you had been raped in 2018 in August, but your legal documents and the reports from the agents that interviewed you said that you were raped actually in September of 2018. And this contradicts the testimony that you gave. And then they tried to kind of put the government on blast and be like, well, didn't the government prepare you for this trial? And she was like, yeah. And in what the government prepared you, they told you that it actually happened in August because they had the text messages there and they were showing it to her. So they did that. And people might say, well, Myron, that's not that big a deal. It's just like a month, bro. Like, why are you being so nitpicky? Well, they're trying to show here that she's not as accurate, and they're challenging credibility. Because this isn't about proving Diddy innocent, guys. And I think it's very important that people understand this. The defense's job is not to make Diddy innocent. The defense's job is to make you think it's possible that he's innocent. And that's the key distinction. So when they brought that up, the discrepancy between when she said she was raped versus when it was actual rape, that was one thing. Then they built on that. Then they said, okay, Cassie, is it not true that you and Diddy had continued to converse with each other after this alleged rape? And she said, yeah. And then they pulled up text messages where she said something about, I miss you with a heart emoji. And basically text messages that you wouldn't typically send to someone that just raped you a month prior. And then they continued to have conversation. They met up at a birthday party. And then this all led to about a month later, her having sex with him on September 27, 2018, right? And as she was having sex with him, her boyfriend at the time, this guy, the Alex, her husband now, FaceTimed her, and she declined the call. Now, obviously, optically, this looks fucking horrible because the whole like courtroom was like, oh. So they did a good job of like debunking the grape allegation, right? And then making her come off as like promiscuous. And that was their strategy the whole time. They had to do it in a roundabout way to get around the 412 rules, but they were able to establish through a lot of their cross-examination the multiple boyfriends she had, the multiple relationships she had, the cheating that she did with Ryan Leslie on Diddy, how she cheated on Diddy with Kid Cudi, how she did a lot of these. She had a pattern of certain behavior, right?
Cheating with Ryan Leslie on Diddy?
No. She cheated on Ryan Leslie with Diddy.
Right. Okay, I got
Yeah.
it.
So
but
like
they
they
had
were
never
like,
really, she had never actually publicly, as far as I knew, established that she was officially in a relationship with Ryan Leslie.
She said on the stand they were together for 3 years, bro. That's what she said on the stand. And it was pretty because they met when she was modeling, so that's what happened. But yeah,
How old was she then?
She was, when she met him, she was like 18, 19, I think. Diddy, 21. She basically her and Diddy linked up after she turned 21. Give me one sec, guys. I'm gonna take a quick pic. Give me one sec.
No, you go.
Yeah, because that's when they said that she told Ryan Leslie that she had a gig down in Miami, and they made up a flyer and everything to pretend like there was an event that she was gonna go and show up at for her to go and hook up with Diddy.
Remember, anytime we was talking about that, I was like, she was with him for a minute.
Wow.
No.
This just proves that all the females has been saying, oh, he knew about all this stuff. He knew about all these freak-offs. He knew about this. Obviously, he didn't. And she was cheating. She was out here. See, the only reason why I ain't gonna say the only reason why, but you gotta see it for what it is, man. You gotta see it for what it is. And so many girls want to defend this woman so bad, but they don't. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. You're out here cheating on the dude that you're married to now. You seeing Diddy behind his back, making up fake flyers. This shows how conniving she actually is. So all these females that are defending her, they really don't have many legs to stand on at this point. They don't. It's falling apart. It really is falling apart. So now they're gonna probably try to move on from Cassie and rely on all the other witnesses. That's what's gonna happen. That's exactly what's gonna happen because this was a bad witness. The picture that the prosecution is trying to paint of him kind of went out the window with her. They still got plenty of other witnesses. I think it's like 17 other witnesses, he said. So there's going to be a lot of other stuff coming out. But they're right. It doesn't look bad because she is the star witness. Let's continue, guys.
To go and hook up with Diddy.
Remember, anytime we was talking about that, I was like, she was with him for a minute.
No. I get it. I'm with it. And we always assumed that that's what it was, but we never knew how long, and she never actually said that publicly.
Right, but everybody
Yeah, I mean, it's assuming, but at the same time, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Court is different.
No, I get you.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, sorry
So
about that, guys.
no, no,
Can
no,
I
you
ask you a
cool.
question, Myron?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you take any observation of like the jury, their body language, their demeanor, anything like that, or it
Yeah.
wasn't?
So I wasn't in there today because it was a pain in the ass. The long story short, they had immigration ceremony today, so that kind of fucked everything up in the line. But from what I heard from people, because knew some people that were in there, they said that when this whole discrepancy with the grape allegation came out, the guys were like, "What the fuck?" Like they were rolling their eyes and shit like that because at this point they're like, "Bro, there's like some serious, credibility concerns," because this was a very big part
Mm-hmm.
of the case. Because when she originally testified about being raped by Diddy, she made a pretty compelling thing. But then when they pulled out the text messages showing like, hey, you were with this guy, you were conversating with this guy, and you ended up having consensual sex with him a month later, and you fucking declined a FaceTime call from your boyfriend who you were dating at the time, it really shot her in the foot on top of all the other promiscuous activity. So I definitely think the jury lost quite a bit of trust in her after today's
So
testimony.
what's the makeup of the jury, like the demographic?
It's very mixed. They got like damn near 50% male, 50% female. It's blacks, whites. It's very mixed. The jury.
Is her boyfriend in there?
Yeah, he is, dude. He is. They had a whole in one of the days they were arguing about letting him be in there when she actually gave the great testimony. He ended up not being in there when she gave the great testimony. But yeah, he's in there, dude. I look over. I was looking over at him a few times, and you could tell like he's just like extremely uncomfortable. Um,
Mm-hmm. I
and then they
would be
also
too.
dropped the other bombshell as well that she sued not sued, but she sent like a legal demand to Intercontinental, and she ended up getting 10 million from them, and she
Mm.
like got the money and settled like a couple of days like prior to the trial. So they've dropped that
Really?
bombshell
Wow.
as well.
Wow.
Sorry,
What?
well, yeah, man, yeah, she
Like
got
they've
10
been
million
putting it
from
in the chat all
Intercontinental.
day,
And
this
that
whole
whole
session.
Intercontinental thing was a huge blunder, man, because that was evidence that the government like really relied on because it's like been kind of a focal piece of their evidence. So that getting leaked actually fucked up the government's case too, man.
Jesus Christ. So based off of
Wow.
based off of what you see so far,
Yeah.
what do you think that this case is going to turn out to be? If you just had to take a shot in the dark, I know that it's going to be a longer case. If you had to take a shot in the dark of what you think is going to happen, if the government is going to effectively prove the charges that's being levied against them, what would you guess?
All right, so I'll be as objective about. I'm gonna give pluses and negatives on both sides, and I want to let everybody know that this case is still very early on. The government has something like 17 witnesses, guys. So we're still very early on. They said this trial is going to take roughly 2 months. The judge said that he predicts that they're trying to get this thing done before July 4th. So who knows, man? As and usually because I've been to trial before, as things wind down, people scramble to get other evidence. Not well other evidence, and then they potentially bring other witnesses in because as testimony unfolds, you find out other facts. So we'll see what happens. But let me give you I guess the pluses and negatives on both sides. Um, on if I had to make a determine right now what it looks like to me at this moment, right? Again, there's going to be way more witnesses, so this is open to interpretation and change. But
Yep.
right now at this moment, as we finish day 5, I would say what it looks like to me, and I think anyone that's like in the courtroom is like, okay, this is a dysfunctional relationship where you have two extremely jealous individuals that are both violent, that are both using drugs every single day, partying almost every day, where emotions are fluid and there's a lot of infidelity going on. So it's almost like a recipe for disaster. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the defense kind of came in with this thing like, look, this is a domestic violence case that somehow has become a sex trafficking case, right? That's what the defense was arguing. And I can see that perspective that they're making because for them to sit there and say, oh, it's sex trafficking, well, let's be honest here. Cassie had a very strong hand in a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
She was organizing the escorts. She was paying them. She knew them. She was getting a lot of the hotels. She was doing a lot of the logistics. So, for her to kind of omit responsibility from this stuff is a little crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right, you could see the other perspective where, Diddy was rich and affluent and, he had power over her career and everything else like that. But, if she wanted to walk away, She could have, but she lived a great lifestyle, right? And she had a lot of opportunities given to her by being over at Bad Boy. So there's two
Wow.
sides to it.
Wow. All I gotta say is wow, guys. It sounds to me like Cassie opened up a can of worms because prior to us knowing that she was suing him for $100 million a year and a half or 2 years ago, there really wasn't a whole lot of things being said about Diddy that not on this level. So now the prosecution, because they're seeing like, God dang, like she was out here, she's promiscuous, she was still hitting up Diddy, even though he supposedly raped her. He was, she was having affairs with different men and different escapades. She was even in on it. She was even in on it. That really damages their case. And she is the star witness. I mean, think about if you're a prosecutor trying to prove a murder or something, and you only to find out that your client was actually in on the murder. The person that you're defending, their star witness, was actually part of the murder. She was in on it, or he was in on it. Like that's what's going on right now. Because if you're implicating Diddy in sex trafficking, you also have to implicate Cassie because she was also sex trafficking. I'm sorry, guys, I can't talk today. She was also sex trafficking. She was orchestrating freak-offs. She was getting escorts. She was paying money. She was flying guys in. Come on, man. She was doing the same exact thing. And don't get it twisted. This is not me defending Diddy. I still feel like Diddy is pretty cooked with all the other evidence and stuff that's going on. But as far as them trying to paint Cassie as some kind of victim, that's out the window. Let me know what y'all think about this, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's go, baby.